There's a family of 4, 2 new electric cars parked on the drive, and only 1 charger in place. Then the big question comes up. Can our house actually handle 2 EV chargers, or are we going to trip the whole street every time we plug in? It's one of the most common calls we get from homeowners across the UK, and today we're going to unpack it properly. We'll cover what your supply can realistically handle, the role of diversity, how smart charging tech comes into play, and whether you truly need an expensive upgrade just to charge 2 cars. Section 1. Supply Basics. First things first, let's set the scene. Most UK homes still run on a single-phase supply, typically rated at 60 amps, 80 amps or 100 amps. For decades, that's been plenty, covering ovens, showers, kettles, TVs, you name it. But EV chargers are different. A single 7 kilowatt charger can draw around 32 amps. Put 2 of those side by side and suddenly you're looking at 64 amps. That's your whole 60 amp supply gone just for charging cars. So, straight away, you can see why families are worried. On paper, it doesn't seem possible. Section 2. The reality of demand diversity. But here's the catch. Houses don't use their maximum rating all at once. Electricians use something called diversity. It means not everything runs flat out at the same time, continuously. Yes, your oven might draw 30 amps, your shower 40 amps, and your EV charger 32 amps. But you're not baking, showering, and fast charging at full tilt for hours simultaneously. This is why millions of homes with 60A or 80A supplies cope just fine, even with EV chargers already installed. The challenge is that 2 EV chargers are unusual, because they could, in theory, run at the same time overnight. That's where smart controls make all the difference. Section 3. How smart chargers solve the problem. Most modern EV chargers in the UK are smart by law. That means they can delay charging to off-peak hours, talk to each other and share load, throttle back automatically if the house is pulling too much power. For example, instead of 2 cars both drawing 32 amps, the system can split the load, maybe 20 amps to one, 12 amps to the other, and swap around through the night. Both cars still wake up with enough charge, and your main fuse never blows. This is called dynamic load management, and it's the single biggest enabler for running 2 EV chargers without upgrading your supply. Section 4. When a supply upgrade is needed. Now, let's be real. Sometimes smart charging alone isn't enough. If you've got a smaller 60 amp supply, 2 electric showers, an electric hob and heating, then stacking 2 EV chargers might push you over the edge. In those cases, an upgrade from 60 amps to 80 amps or 100 amp supply might be recommended. The good news? In many parts of the UK, your DNO can upgrade the main fuse for free, or at least for a relatively modest cost, compared to 3-phase works. Section 5. Real-world cases. Case 1. A couple with a 60 amp supply, 1 EV charger already in place. They wanted a second for their new car. We fitted dynamic load management, the chargers shared power, and both cars were fully topped up by morning. No upgrade needed. Case 2. A family with a 60 amp supply, but also 2 electric showers and an induction hob. In their case, the risk of overload was too high. We worked with the DNO to bump them up to a 100 amp fuse. Cost? 0, because the service head was already capable. Now they run 2 chargers with no stress at all. Section 6. Safety and regulations check. Before we talk numbers, let's touch on something just as important: safety and compliance. In the UK, any EV charger installation must comply with BS 7671 wiring regulations and be notified to your DNO. Why? Because chargers are continuous loads. They don't cycle on and off like a kettle or a microwave. That means your installation has to be properly assessed. An electrician will check the earthing arrangement, the main fuse rating, and whether load management is included. Skipping this step or installing without DNO approval isn't just risky, it can void your insurance and even create fire hazards. So, no matter how tempting a DIY approach might look online, EV chargers are firmly a job for qualified professionals. Section 7. The money question. Of course, cost matters. A second EV charger itself will run £800 to £1,200 installed. If you need load management hardware, add another few hundred. But compare that with a full 3-phase upgrade, often £3,000 to £10,000 plus delays. In most cases, families save thousands simply by working smarter with what they already have. Section 8. How to decide. So, how do you know if your house can run 2 EV chargers? It comes down to 3 things. First, the size of your supply, 60 amps, 80 amps or 100 amps. Second, your other big loads, showers, heating, cookers. And third, whether you use smart charging and load management. Get those 3 balanced and you'll be surprised at how much your existing supply can handle. Section 9. Future-proofing your home. One last point many homeowners overlook is future-proofing. Even if you only have one EV today, think about what your household might look like in 5 or 10 years. Will both adults drive electric? Will your kids be charging cars too? By planning ahead, choosing a charger that supports load management or pre-installing cabling for a second charger, you'll save money and disruption later. The upfront cost is usually modest compared to tearing everything up again in a few years. A good installer will guide you on what's practical now and what's smart for the future. So, can you run 2 EV chargers on your supply? In many UK homes, yes, absolutely, with the right setup. Don't jump straight to expensive upgrades. Start with smart controls, check your supply rating, and speak with your DNO or electrician. Chances are, you already have more power than you think.